Are you gonna drink it during the
I
episode?
am parched. You're making me talk for 3 hours.
Okay.
It's a table. Okay, you see it now?
No.
Now it's obnoxious if I want to drink. Now it's, I hope Slater keeps us in here.
Hey cuties, I'm Miles Sexton, a content creator, activist, and loud and proud disruptor of the norm. On Our Private Bits, we talk about the things and people that don't get talked about enough, or at all. Trust me, as a sober, HIV-positive, non-binary person, I would know. Join me as I chat with people in my life and from around the world whose stories deserve to be heard. Maybe you'll learn something new, and you will definitely LOL. Our Private Bits is also part of the Acast Creator Network. All right, cuties. Today on Our Private Bits, we have Tyler joining again for another episode. I know you all missed him so much. Want to say hi, babe?
Oh, hey, everybody.
So on this episode, I think we wanted to kind of do an episode just on like a relationship update, last like year in review, highs and lows, I don't know. I feel like with social media, all you see is like the good, I think, in everything. And I think it's just like important to have like real talk. And, I don't think relationships are always like romance and happiness all of the time. I think it's all about balance and working through things. So yeah. So I wanted, yeah, I think when we were chatting about like a podcast episode topic, I think this one sounded really, really good. And I think it's important. I think more people should talk about what they're going through in relationships and be honest about it versus just like pretending that everything's great all the time. Because I don't think that that's like the reality of real relationships.
You test my patience a lot.
Me?
Mhm.
What do I do to test your patience?
We'll get into that.
Oh, are we? I mean, go ahead.
No, it's like what you said. It's we need to talk, or it's good to talk. We don't need to talk about it, but like it's good to talk about things. And I agree. I mean, but I think you do a really good job on your like social media of and with your content of like being real, because there's days where you do even if it's an Instagram story post of saying like you're not feeling good, or this is what it looks like on a bad day, right? I think that's, I don't ever really post on my things, so it's
No, but I don't know. There's still like part of me though that like doesn't, I don't know. I don't share actually that much about our relationship on my Instagram. Like yes, we post things and stuff together, but
yeah,
we don't really talk about our relationship that much
no.
like on my social media. So, I think
But I
yeah.
think I don't know. If even if we did, it wouldn't really bother me. But I feel like for you, of just everything being so publicly out there, I think you also keep things. There are stuff that you do want to keep private.
Totally.
It's like more special, or I mean, we don't really talk about when we're having like major blowouts or anything.
No.
Not that they happen very often,
No.
unless you handle raw chicken, but it's fine.
Well.
So I learned one of our friends had told us that you have an alternate ego that comes out when
Mhm.
you're like angry, and yours is named Teresa,
Mhm.
like really Teresa with like an exclamation point, almost to Karen. I'd almost say that when you get mad.
No, it's like more like Teresa Caputo vibes.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe like a Portuguese or like extremely Italian mother in you comes out.
For
like
sure.
you just like blackout rage Italian. Like that's the, I feel like that would be the closest. And
I'm
I've only
not
seen
an angry person, as people know. Like I don't think very many people have like ever seen me like very angry before.
Do not get Miles mad. Let me tell you. I've only seen Teresa come out once, and that was I don't want to see Teresa again. Yeah.
I talk about on this podcast that I don't like people telling me what to do, and so in our relationship, I prominently do a lot of like the grocery shopping and like the meal prepping and cooking, So, I had gone to Costco and like it was a really busy week for me. I was like pretty stressed. And, the chicken had been sitting in the fridge for a couple days and I just hadn't had time to like put it in a freezer bag. And then finally, while I was cooking dinner, I like had time to to put it in freezer bags and get it into the freezer. And, and then here comes Tyler, just like, after not being home or helpful,
First of all, I
just
was home. I was working from home that day. And
sure, whatever.
this is
Okay,
the only reason why I saw this.
and then I'm putting the chicken away. I also don't have a problem with touching chicken with my hands.
Okay, no, but you weren't just touching the chicken. You were manhandling the chicken with your bare ass hands into Ziploc bags and then
Sure.
touching every aspect of that goddamn bag with your raw chicken hands.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Like you were double fisting the chicken into the Ziploc bag without protection.
if I'm washing my hands after, I don't see a problem with that. But
then you also touched the sink with your raw salmonella chicken hands. I've seen this happen. Anyways, continue.
yeah,
I don't mean to
so
interrupt.
then Tyler decided to tell me how I should do
No.
it. He basically was mansplaining to me how
Okay, first of
how
all,
I should put chicken into a Ziploc bag. Meanwhile, we have been living together for I don't know how many years, Tyler, and I've
Okay,
been
wait,
doing
hold
it
on,
this way the whole time.
hold on, back up. Time out for a second. Hold on. A big part of our relationship recently has been learning how to communicate with one another, okay? And this is where this gets, so don't even try to blow over this part where I was trying to mansplain this, okay? So like, Miles, you've done a very good job of saying, hey, I'm gonna, go to therapy sessions and talk about my issues and work through my inner trauma, okay? Right? Okay. So it has come out that maybe we need to communicate a little bit better, and you have told me how to communicate with you
Yes.
so it doesn't
Activate me.
activate the inner Teresa. Okay, so on my end, I have a hard time communicating when things are bothering me because in my past relationships, people just tell me that my feelings are invalid and that they're not correct and that like all that shit. Okay, so it takes a lot for me to be like, hey, this is how this is making me feel. So watching Miles double fist chicken breasts into a Ziploc bag wasn't making me feel very like, I don't know. I don't like, just who does that?
Tyler has a lot of like phobias around like
Getting sick from chicken.
getting just food in general, like
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So I came to you saying, babe, can you please put the chicken in the bag using a fork? Because watching you double fist the chicken and make every aspect of the Ziploc bag all salmonella-y,
contaminating multiple areas.
it doesn't make me want to eat this chicken in the future, or doesn't make me feel safe touching these bags. Okay, so I came to you with how you want me to communicate with you. Miles pretty much blacked out at this point and Hulk raged at me. There was a lot of go fuck yourselves, fuck you, fuck this. Then proceeded to rub your hands all over every single piece of chicken and just to drive me up the wall. And then slowly with your chicken hands, and I could see the little bits of chicken juice strings while you touch the Ziploc bag. You blacked out.
I did. I really did. I haven't gotten that mad at someone in a long time over the stupidest thing.
We didn't talk for a day and a half because I asked you to put a chicken in a bag with a fork.
But I think there was a lot of underlining things that had to come up, that came up in that moment, and it was just the chicken was the final
countdown. It was the chicken.
Final straw. Tyler also does this thing where he doesn't have a lot of influx in his voice, so it's the way that Tyler says things a lot of the time, it just always comes out so serious and kind of very stern and direct, which I'm not very good at receiving. So I think a lot of the time I get my back up a lot in these sort of situations where I feel like someone's trying to control me or whatever, or tell me what to do, and I get very angry. So growing up, I didn't have a lot of, I couldn't really have an opinion, and so I think a lot of that sort of activation very much stems from my childhood, and now being a very independent person since I've been on my own since I'm 19. It's definitely an adjustment, because I think too it's you're the first time that I'm dating someone that is maybe more open to sharing their opinions about things. I've definitely a lot of people that I've dated in the past.
You've steamrolled?
Getting steamrolled. No, they just
Oh.
like I think that they like
Just kidding.
they were very much like people that wanted to be taken care of.
Ah,
So like they never really had a lot of opinions about things, you
'cause you just
know?
did it.
I just did
You did
everything,
everything. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So it was like
And, like, I've been that person in my past relationships, so I feel like that's where we struggle because we both have, like, certain things that we like to, certain ways that we do things or, like, certain ways that we, like, want our aesthetic to look, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. I think communication though, and just in general, I think has been a big learning within our relationships because I
For
think
sure.
we both get very like activated by like very similar things. You know, I think like
So
within our
true.
relationship,
It's so
like we're
true.
so similar in that way. But like, but when we get activated, like I get very fiery and you just like build a brick wall, you know? And so it's like there's so then that also just like feeds into this sort of like where our attachment styles are different. Like I'm more of like an anxiously attached person and you're an avoidant attachment style. So like, you know, instead of moving closer together in conflict, we like just kind of fuel each other to push each other apart further,
Well,
you know?
well, true, but I also think, like, when I'm mad, I've learned that I need like my 5 minutes to gather my thoughts, or else I'm
Yes,
going to say things that I don't necessarily want to say just because I'm angry,
totally.
or like, you know, that are gonna do more damage than good,
For sure.
right? Of just like spewing things out of like not actually thinking about what
Yeah,
I'm
Tyler
saying.
loves to pull like, "I'm gonna slam the door," or "I'm sleeping on the couch." Like, that just gets me going.
It's so true. Slamming the door, just so you know, I may not have inflection, but I'm gonna fucking slam that goddamn door so you fucking know I'm mad. Okay?
Yeah, don't forget to take the Tyler or the garbage out, folks.
Okay, here's Miles doesn't like to be told what to do. Okay, I'm not telling you what to do. I asked you nicely, can you please take out the trash before you go to bed? Next thing I know, Miles is in their tidy whities in bed with their fucking bonnet cap on, scrolling, playing Pokemon Go. Cause here's a 33-year-old that needs to sit in bed playing Pokemon Go still because gotta catch them all, heaven forbid. But you couldn't just take the garbage out because you're not the one that has to get up at 4:30.
I mean, I have a hard time focusing sometimes.
Oh my god. Anyways, yes, our communication has been much better. But
But
here's the thing though, you struggle with me needing my 5 minutes.
I do.
You like my thing now is like I'm going to go take my shower and when I come
Mhm.
back, I'm going to be ready to talk. But you just won't accept the fact that I just need to go have that 10 minutes.
Of course, and I think that that's a big one that I think I've had to learn within our relationship because, you know, like I also definitely like suffer from perfectionism. So like when conflict arises in our relationship, like I take it so personally because it makes me feel like I'm not worthy or I'm not a good enough partner or, you know, like a lot of these sort of emotions like come up when we're sort of in these situations. So it's like I have such a hard time like sitting in that sort of like discomfort of things not being good between
Yeah.
us. So it's like I just need to resolve them and like so we can move forward because like I just like go through this sort of like wave of anxiety and emotions of like no like I don't want it to be like this. Like I just need to talk about it and get it over with, you know? But I you know, I definitely had to learn how to respect your space to like collect your thoughts so you know you can figure out what you need to say.
Mhm.
Is that right?
You're getting better.
Yeah.
Just as
I
like
mean, still a work in progress, but like, you know, I think it's getting better.
I think our communication overall, like we rarely fight though. I feel
It's
like
true.
I feel like we have more arguments when we've both had a really busy week or
Mhm.
month at work, or there's like sometimes maybe it feels like we're more roommates sometimes, just in the sense of like if you're downtown a lot for a
Mhm.
week or you travel and then like my schedule is really busy so we don't have a lot of like that time to like that intimate time in
Mhm.
between like really busy weeks. And I feel like that's where a lot of the frustration builds up, I think, because like I don't have downtime, you're not having downtime, and it's just like, just the overwhelming feeling of like, we want to see each other, we miss each other, and then not having that.
Totally. No, and I think that that's like a perfect segue, I think, into like another sort of area of our relationship that I think we've really have been trying to work on a lot, I think is just like that sort of relationship slash like work life balance,
Totally.
like because I think,
There's a lot that's changed for us, I think, in a year,
yeah,
like your career has absolutely taken off,
mhm,
doing content. I feel like I'm gonna win the most like world record on like how many promotions one can get in a
literally, Tyler
year.
gets promoted like every 4 months,
Well,
I
don't look at
swear.
my knees, okay? My knees may be dirty, but
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Don't start those rumors. No, but like, yeah, I think it's been interesting, because quality time is so important for us
For both
within
of
our
us, yeah.
relationship, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be doing things. It's just like I think we need time where it's just like us, even when we're just watching TV or
Oh, totally,
whatever.
and like
Like
actually
it's
not being on the phone or like not like answering the phone and stuff
totally.
like that.
It's
And
just
like
like,
I definitely think my roles at work have changed where,
mhm,
I'm now the go-to person where before, I wasn't, yeah, foreman and then being a supervisor and then now being in this more like a lead junior management position of having people rely on me now. I think that's what I'm like, like having
mhm.
that fine balance, right? Because my job is very if shit's hitting the fan, it's not like it can wait till Monday sometimes.
Totally. And I think it's interesting because, when I think when we first started dating, I think a big thing that you sort of brought up was like how much I was on my phone,
Mhm.
and it's so hard because like for what I do is work, right? Like so like if I am not on my phone all the time, then like the comments and the DMs like they pile up and then I'm stuck with like, just taking a couple hours off.
Yeah.
I will have like hundreds of comments I need to respond to. And then like that just like it's easier to just sort of like take 5 minutes, respond quickly to like what I can respond to. And then, so it doesn't pile up to be so many, So it's
Mhm.
like I've really had to try to be like more aware and create better boundaries with like how much I'm on my phone and like trying to like, you know,
And like
take
I
that
and I
time with
respect you being on your phone for like for work and stuff. I think it
no,
was
I
just like
know.
our conversation of like, when we are watching like TV or like a
Yeah,
movie or, if we're driving, like to be able to have those like little moments that we don't
totally.
necessarily get because, if it's not my phone going off, it's your phone.
Yeah, it's true. But but I think it's interesting, because I think we've, like it's definitely something I'm much more aware of now. And I really liked what we did because, I think it was around like New Year's or something. We did this sort of activity that my therapist gave me and where we sort of like rated each other on like our love languages and like how they were being met. And I think it's like
Yeah.
I think it was really interesting because like, like you can sort of I love this doing this within a relationship. And I think people in a relationship should do this, even maybe with friendships, like have this sort of conversation and check in and be like, like how am I meeting your like physical touch? How am I meeting your acts of service? How am I meeting your quality time? Like, how am I meeting your words of affirmation? Like check in with these different love languages and like see how the other person's feeling because, you know, I think both of us were probably pretty surprised by each other's answers and we knew some of the answers. I think we're pretty aligned with, but
Mhm.
like, I think for me, I was like, I was a bit surprised by Tyler being like, I don't feel like we have enough quality time where I felt like we did, And so like I think that was like a big eye opener. And I think a big part of that still just came
I
from how much I've been on my phone.
Yeah, and I
So
think we just like viewed quality time together where you were viewing it as, we're sitting next to each other,
yes.
right? In each other's presence, or I was viewing our quality time of like actively like engaged
Yeah.
with each
Doing
other.
things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed. So, I think it's a really healthy activity that you can do with anyone just to like check in. I think it's important because I think it just like allowed us to sort of like reset,
Mhm.
a bit and gave us like things that we can sort of like work on, I think within our relationship. But then, it's interesting because like now I think with your workload, I
It's
think
flopped,
like it's our sort of our situations have gone different.
changed.
Like I've become, I'm now, a couple of years into this sort of explosion in my career, but I have a better balance of like managing my time with it, And so like I feel like I'm able to sort of balance a lot of the work a lot better. But now you're sort of in this new role and it's like I'm finding I'm getting activated because it's like, I just like haven't seen
Mhm.
you all day. You come home, I've just like cooked a big, beautiful meal for us, and then your fucking phone's going off every 5 seconds, and you have to deal with it. And like, there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, I try so hard not to get frustrated, but it like makes me so angry, you
I know,
know?
I know. It's
So,
hard. It's like it's now trying to find my balance of
mhm,
that.
totally. But
Again, and I'm pretty good at multitasking of like what needs, is like for work, like what's a major emergency or what's not.
totally.
But yeah, it's tough.
But also I just feel like everyone just loves you so much at work that they just like all wanna talk to you on the phone. Like,
It's
how does
true.
it feel
My
to be Regina
bros,
George?
I heard Jana George. It's true. I'm the favorite.
Yeah.
Just I'm the favorite anywhere I go, but it's fine. That's it.
No, but yeah, and but I do think like, something that, we've been sort of trying to practice. It's been a little bit harder, like recently because I've been traveling a lot and you've had a fucked up ankle. So, but like something also that we've been trying to actively do, I think, which has been nice is like planning like dates for each other,
Mhm.
that we like each try to plan one at least a month for each other, and I
Yeah.
think it's just like important that you need to like set out those sort of times to like do something that's outside of what you're
I
doing
think
within your routine,
I
right?
in my late 20s, well, like my last relationship, I was seeing a psychotherapist, which was more like a life coach per
Hmm.
se. So like working out through some things that I needed to work out on. And what came through that was in a relationship, you're gonna have like your peaks and valleys, right? But just because you're in a valley doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's
Hmm.
just it's where you're comfortable. So like you're having your day-to-day routine, and there's nothing bad about having a day-to-day routine, but you're settling into the comfort of being with one another.
Totally.
Right. So a lot of times in like a beginning of a relationship, it could be months, it could be years where you're like on this like really high incline
Hmm.
because you're learning and everything's like new and all that. But as soon as it starts coming down into a valley, everybody thinks that, oh my God, my relationship's in trouble, or, like it's rocky, but it's more
Hmm.
so everything's just kind of settling out. You've found that day to day routine and you found that like comfort, and it becomes like boring or whatnot. And you got to find those like the date days again. You got to
Hmm.
make time for dating or making time for each other. I love the fact that we've gone to so many concerts over like the last
Hmm.
year and a bit, and it's such an easy way to make a date night
Totally.
out of it, like
I'm glad
having.
you wanna go to concerts with me, even though I'm the most
Oh
awkward
my God,
person
Miles
at
is
a
the
concert.
worst to go to concerts with. First of all, who sits? If you have like a seat at a concert, who sits? Miles. Miles does. Okay.
As a
We
tall
went.
person, I
I
feel like
don't
I block
care.
everyone's view,
Who
so I
cares?
have to sit.
As a short person, who cares if you're blocking okay, I'm not short person, I'm vertically challenged. Okay. But if you're standing, who cares? I want you to enjoy time. Miles will sit in the chair like an old man tapping their foot. This is so great. This is so fun. Okay. We went to Blink 182, like both of our epitome of being in our teens, and you sat there. We saw Florence and the Machine. And that was the first concert that I'm like, oh, this is really awkward to stand because, Florence has these like big, grand, slow songs and everybody was sitting down. I was like, okay, I can understand that. We went to Glorious Sons. I'm having a great time. We're going to Benson Boone tonight, and I'm so glad that we don't have seats because you have no excuse now.
It's sit on the floor.
Miles are going to be curled up in a corner having I'm going to be so mad.
No, I literally was like giving myself a little pep talk on the drive here, being like, "Okay, Miles, like you can do this. Like you don't feel socially awkward at this concert. Like have a good time, sing along to the music."
I try to encourage you so much. Like, well, maybe not, because I feel like when we went to Glorious Sounds, I was basically yelling at you to stand up the whole time.
Just
Because
making it worse.
yeah. So that's our date nights.
That's true. We love that.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think also within our relationship, I think like going to your point that you were saying earlier, about keeping the romance alive, I think has been another really sort of like big one, I think for us, especially for me, I guess,
I agree.
I think when we first started dating, you were trying to win me over and make me date you, so
Well, God, after 8 years, I better keep up the fucking fire. I'm finally worn down, but Christ almighty, you got so many good things in like 8 years. I think I deserve a break of not being romantic for the next 12.
No. You were dating a queen. I need romance all the time.
Grace. Yeah, my favorite. So, the first thing that you did to point out to me that I was no longer being romantic is that you bought yourself flowers, and then when you bought yourself flowers, as you were putting them in the like glass vase, you blasted, "I can buy myself flowers."
I'm not passive aggressive at all.
Jesus. Yeah, and you're like, "Aren't they so nice, Tyler?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're beautiful." And then you're like, "I just blast the song." I got
I
point,
don't know. I don't
point
think
taken.
I also like I don't need a lot. I just like I think like for me, definitely like I really appreciate when, someone just like surprises you with like a little something that made them think of you. And I think that that's like romantic to me. And I don't really like gifts, but like, I do love flowers. So, you
Our
know.
our biggest blowout that like we had like I don't know, like a couple of weeks
Mhm.
ago and stuff before you went away.
Ooh.
Let's bring that up. So Miles says, oh, they like romantic gestures.
Mhm. So we got to the bottom of why Tyler has kind of
Yes, we definitely
pulled
got
back on his romantic gestures. So go ahead.
because I was like, I'm the person that I just don't want to buy something that doesn't like, have any meaning or like, if there's nothing attached of just other than the fact that Miles has put it on their wish list of things to buy, right? Like, so when we were first started dating, like there was like meticulous thought. Then I put into a lot of the things that like I had given you. And I haven't been as romantic because every single thing that I have put a lot of thought and effort into, either like, Miles has put in the sea can somewhere in the back, has like probably donated it without me like knowing. And I've had to like consistently bring up the fact that like, you don't put it out or you don't wear it.
Mhm.
So I bought you a necklace for our very first Christmas.
Mhm.
And it was like it looks like an old like stamped like piece of metal.
Mhm.
And on the front it has like a Gaelic harp and on the back it says I think it says my love in
Me
um
more.
yeah, in whatever. It's either Italian or like
Mhm.
Gaelic or whatever. But anyways, me more. So but I always say to you like I always call you my love.
Mhm.
Okay, it took like 18 months for Miles to start wearing this necklace. Like I literally like Miles like opened it at Christmas, like, oh my God, this is so great. And like I could like tell the look on their face that was like, okay, this is like a flop. And then like I put so much effort.
I can't lie. So
Yeah. And then it took like months. And then I was like, I had to ask you, like, why aren't you wearing it? And you're like, well, it's like, I love it, but it's not my vibe. And I was like, okay, but like
I just like I hadn't figured out how to style it yet. And like then we got other necklaces in like Costa Rica that like layered really nicely with it. And like but this is it. Like I'm really bad in these like situations because like I'm so bad with gifts. And I think like especially things that are like super like aesthetic based, like I really struggle. Like,
Mhm.
I
What's the other example, babe, of the
I
aesthetics?
I may or may not have also designed my wedding ring, but that's another big one. But like, I don't know. I'm just like I'm very like I am. So like I think it takes me time to like figure out how to wear it. And I think this is just it too. Like I think at that point when we were started dating, like, that was it was like a really sweet gift, but I wasn't wearing a lot of necklaces at that point. So it was like I was wearing more rings and stuff at that point. So like, I think
All I'm hearing is
no,
excuses.
it just like yeah. I mean, maybe I'm making excuses for myself, but it was just like I wasn't in like a necklace era, and now I'm in a necklace era. So
Jesus Christ. Okay, what about a paintings era?
go ahead,
No,
tell the
you
painting
you
story.
can go ahead. How's
Okay, but like also another example of like we just moved in together, and Tyler made
I painted this before we moved in together.
yes, but we were still like no, you gave it to we were living together when you painted it.
I don't know.
Yes,
Either
it was
way,
because I didn't have it at my old place. We just moved
wouldn't
in
have
together,
mattered.
and Tyler painted me this very large painting that says like you keep me safe and I'll keep you wild. It's like a quote that we really love. And you know, it was very beautiful and I really appreciated it. My mother loves to have like sayings all over her house and like in forms of pictures and signs.
Your mom's
And
the live, laugh, love, laugh,
she's
live.
literally the live, laugh, love, love, laugh, live life, love, Karen, like mom. And like, so I very much like hate anything that has words that people use to like decorate their homes with. You know, so like, yes, this was so like so beautiful and so sweet. And I thought it was so romantic that you did it. But it was like I was like the awful partner and like I kind of like hid it because I was like, I don't know where to put it. It doesn't fit into my aesthetic. And like you also put like accents of like a bright teal through it, which just didn't go with anything that we had in the house. And I was like, oh, okay. And you know, I feel like going back to like our parent episode, like, you know, I'll be like that awful parent where like the kid's like,
None
look
of our
look
kids,
what I
our
drew for you.
kids,
And I'll be like,
our
not
kids,
going on the fridge.
100%. Our kids will never think they made it because you won't allow anything to be on the fridge. That's 1,000% going to be you. Or you're going to leave it up for a week and then take it down and just hope to God they don't notice. That is 1,000% going to be you. So anyways, that's the reason
So how
why
did that make you feel?
it make me feel very good.
How come?
Well, you tell me to be romantic and do all this stuff. And then every time I did, it was like just pushed aside. Or whatever excuses were made of why you can't wear it. Oh, you don't wear it's not my necklace era. No, it doesn't go with the aesthetic of our house. I don't okay, so what? No, it has one little green teal line on it.
Agreed.
Well,
And
eye roll.
it is I'm in my
What else? Oh, what else did I do? I wrote you 365 things that I absolutely loved about you and put them in a jar and told you if you were ever having a bad day or doubted my love for you, you could go into the jar and pick something out. Where's that jar, babe?
I had it.
Hmm?
It's in the spare room right now. It's on my desk actually.
Okay, where
right
was
now.
that? Where was that before?
On the shelf.
Behind what?
A picture.
Well, the picture I painted you, and behind your stupid token Lord of the Rings fucking 6,000 copies that you have. I swear to God.
It's a jar with paper in it. How am I supposed to display it?
I don't know, but like, figure it out. I get that you're not going to display it. I understand. I get that. I'm just bugging you, but like, you can't tell me that I have never been romantic.
I'm not saying that you haven't been romantic.
Okay, but
I'm just saying you just stopped being romantic and then
because you hide everything that I do romantic for you.
Yeah, but like, are you a quitter? I don't think you are. So
are you a quitter? Wow.
No, but like, okay. Granted, if I was in your situation, yes, I definitely would feel very like rejected and not heard and not appreciated. So yes, I can understand where you're coming from. And, you know, I think the longer I'm in therapy and like working through my need for control and letting go of a bit of my perfectionisms, you know, I'm getting better. What did I just put out on display recently in the house?
Okay, first of all, don't ever live with Miles either because none of your stuff will ever be allowed to be displayed in the house, like ever, like at all. Okay, like I've got, and I know that it's not your aesthetic or it doesn't mean anything to you or whatever, but like I have an Elvis head, like an Elvis busk. Okay, and it's
like,
awesome.
It's literally the size of Tyler's torso.
It is,
massive.
And I love it. Okay, and I don't really care. It's like the best, like kitschy, like 50s, like thing ever. Okay, and like I've never asked you to put, like, it doesn't need to be like underneath our TV. Just like out, like it's just
too
like
big. It wouldn't fit under there.
Yeah, well, now it's on top of like our bar, but whatever. Oh, and then you allowed me because you said, like on our art wall, that I would never be allowed to hang up a skateboard because it's not the vibe. So thank you for finally letting me put a skateboard that I painted on the wall. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What else did I do for you?
Those are the only two things.
That's not true.
What else?
What did I? What? I see. He doesn't even appreciate
What
the
else?
things that I do for you. Wow.
Oh, you allowed me to have what, a 2-foot space in your closet so I can put other clothes?
No. Okay, so Tyler has all these like really beautiful because like he doesn't remember this beautifully romantic thing that I did for him.
Well, here we go.
I got these giant cork boards and
Oh my God. Okay. Here we go.
so like we have our spare room and we needed something on the wall. So I thought it'd be really cool to like take all of Tyler's like tattoo art
Don't
and
even
like put it
spin
on
this.
the cork
Don't
board.
even.
Let me finish the story. Put it on the cork board so that we could like display his art so it could be like out in the house.
Okay. And what made you change your mind to quote unquote beautifully display my art? What conversation, Miles, had to happen for you to do that?
You tell me, Tyler.
Okay, Miles just like spun that story as if I went away and you were like, oh my God, I really want to surprise you with something.
I thought I was being very sweet and you like gave no fucks.
Yeah, I didn't give no fucks. How many months was I asking to like, can I just put my corkboard up? And you're like, it's not the vibe. It's not the vibe. It's not,
but
it's not the vibe.
It's a white room. And,
Okay.
And with like dark black aesthetics, and Tyler wanted to put like a caramel color corkboard up. Like, no, it aesthetically doesn't go with the room. I got a white, two white corkboards.
But how many times did you say no prior to ordering those white corkboards? I said, let's put my art on the wall, and you were like, nah, that's not the vibe. Your old stencils aren't the vibe of your tattoos. How many times did you say no?
Well, I thought about what I did.
You thought about because I got mad.
A solution.
You thought about it because I got mad and had to go take a shower and 10-minute break before my Teresa exploded on you. Don't play this like
I didn't give up. So
if there isn't a final episode, I may or may not be using Miles's body to actually like finally make our CCAN level.
Yeah. Okay.
Just saying.
Wow.
I'm gonna